Travis Scott is one of the biggest names in American hip-hop, and his 2018 album Astroworld did over $53.5 million in sales. He is known for his unique style and wild performances. He is known for putting on a show for his fans. But on November 5th in Houston, Texas, a Travis Scott concert would end in tragedy, as 9 of his fans were left dead by the end of the show. The show was called Astrofest and took place in Travis's hometown of Houston, Texas. The show was meant to honor his original chart-topping album in 2018 called Astroworld. At around 9 a.m., fans began storming the gates, acting rowdy, knocking over fences and metal detectors. The Houston Police Department suspects that as many as 5,000 concertgoers got into the festival without wristbands. As the day went on, the crowds grew more and more rowdy, and by afternoon, merchandise stands were forced to shut down because the crowd was out of control. At around 8:30, fans began packing the main stage to see headliner Travis Scott. As one concertgoer described it, the closer to the start of the concert it got, the more compressed the crowd got. The show got off to an electric start, with pyrotechnics and smoke. However, within minutes of the concert starting, problems began to arise. Fans from the back rows began pushing their way towards the front of the crowd, causing more and more people to be squished inside the metal safety barriers. As one concertgoer described it, it became harder and harder to breathe as the concert went on. By the 28-minute mark, an ambulance tried to make its way through the crowd, in which Travis begins to say something about the ambulance coming through. But then goes back to performing. At the 30-minute mark of the concert, police noticed that fans really started going down. Minutes later, Scott would perform from an elevated platform. This is when several security members discovered that at least 4 fans had no pulse. It was around this time that fans started to take notice of what was going on around them and began chanting to stop the show. However, the show continued. Minutes later, after the 4 fans were discovered with no pulse, festival promoter Live Nation agreed to put an end to the show early. However, the show continued. And by the end of the 70-minute set, 10 fans died, including a 9-year-old boy, and hundreds more were injured. While the tragedy is still being investigated, it remains unclear exactly what happened at Astrofest or why the concert was not ended early. Some people have blamed Travis for not doing more and stopping the concert, while Scott claims that he could not tell what was going on in the crowd, and if he did know what was going on, he would have stopped the concert immediately. After the tragic incident, many concertgoers who were in attendance that night ended up filing lawsuits against Live Nation and Travis Scott. Scott has agreed to pay for the funeral expenses of those whose lives were lost on that tragic day in Houston. While many want to point fingers and find someone to blame for this tragic incident, the important thing that we have to remember is that 10 lives were lost, and that we have to think about what needs to be done in order to prevent tragedies like this from happening in the future.